All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to CAD-1's Civil 3D 2016 What's New preview. My name is Stan Henne, the Business Development Manager here at CAD-1, but much more importantly, I have with me today Jennifer Hoskins, our Product Support Certified Technical Specialist. Many of you have talked to Jennifer. Jennifer will be showing a bit about how to download and get a hold of your new software when you're ready to do so. And then we have Brian J. Haley, PE, who will be talking about some of the new features in Civil 3D 2016. So with that, we're going to go and just show you the webinar screen. Most of you have been on a webinar by now and get it, but if you want to move the console out of the way, hit the orange arrow and that'll move it out of the way. Could you hit your raise your hand button and make sure that we can hear you, or you can hear us. We can't hear you. Yeah, looks like the hands are going up. That's a good thing. And if you want to ask any questions, feel free to do so by typing them in the question box, not the chat box, but the question box, and we will try and get them answered as close to in context as we can. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer, who's going to talk a little bit about how the new system for getting the software downloaded or ordering data.
All right, so as many of you have seen, if you've logged into the Autodesk account of late, it is switched. It is no longer called a subscription center. They are now calling it the Autodesk account. Everyone has an account with Autodesk. It's your same login that you had before. That hasn't changed any. If you don't know who your point of contact is at your company for your software information, feel free to give us a call and we'll be happy to help you out with either changing that if that person has left or helping you identify who you need to talk to about getting an account set up. That is not a problem at all. But so with the change to the Autodesk account, you know, all of the features that were in the subscription center are still there and still available in the Autodesk account. It's just been rearranged. It looks a little bit different, and I know change can be scary, but there really is all the same features there. You can still get to your downloads. You can still get to your previous versions, your home use licenses. Everything is still there and available. So Brian, if you'll switch it over to show my screen here, I'm going to walk you guys through what the Autodesk account looks like. Hang on just one moment here. All right, so get my GoToWebinar stuff out of the way here. Maybe. This is not the fastest computer around. So what we have in here is your Autodesk account, and you can see we have a, well, it's spinning. Sorry about this. Anything yet?
No, nothing yet. Is it behind there? There it is, behind there.
Well, maybe Brian, you can pull up Autodesk account on your computer there and switch back to yourself.
Is anybody else seeing Jennifer's screen, or is it just me? Raise your hand if you're seeing Jennifer's screen.
Should look like the Autodesk account page.
Yeah, nobody's raising their hand. All right, let me switch over to me.
Hang on, bear with us just a moment. It's minor technical difficulties. All right, so.
You seeing my screen?
Yes. Can't get anything to move, but.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Just
so you can kind of tell from the screen captures there that Brian was showing too. What you can do is when you're logged in to the Autodesk account, the main page is going to have, the first one you'll receive when you log in is going to have all your products and services. And as resellers, we have a lot of products and services on our page, so you'll see a lot populated there, but you'll probably only have a few. Now, if there are any InfraWorks users in the bunch, InfraWorks does not show up on the products page. It will show up on the services page as it is a service. So if anyone on here is on the Infrastructure Design Suite Premium, That's going to be on the service. The InfraWorks from that is going to be on the services page. So a couple of things there. Product updates, if you aren't sure where to go, because I know it's a little bit confusing to find the service packs and things like that for your various different products. They've got a link to it right there with your product updates. You can go and grab all your service packs. What Brian is showing right there is basically what everyone would see, where you've got your serial numbers listed right underneath the product. So if you click on the product name, it gives you a drop down. It shows you where all your serial number and product keys are for any versions that you have access to currently. That drop down also gives you access to the More Actions button there. Also gives you access to things like different options for download. CAD-1 strongly recommends the browser download method. Even though it says it's the slowest, it's going to be a complete download to your system, so you can copy those files up to your server, onto a coworker's computer. If you never need to reinstall, you don't have to re-download, that type of thing. It's just a lot better package to download that. So we recommend the browser download method. We've also got options for getting previous versions, home use licenses, requesting a physical copy of the media. So you say you want a USB or a DVD sent to you. You choose that, get a physical copy of the media, and it will take you through checking your address, making sure that they've got your correct information, how many discs you want, and then they'll ask you for $30, and they will send you a disc. So just
$30 per media set.
$30
so if you
per
want
media
three
set.
of them, it's going to be $90. So
Correct.
Just so you're aware.
Yep, so so that would be the way to get a disc for install if you didn't want to do the download method.
And
so.
Jennifer, if I can say, you know, folks, there's a lot of animosity with many customers about that. Well, we pay a lot of money, we should get this for free. I know we feel we all have our own opinions on this, and we're not here to argue that one way or the other. We're just telling you that this is what it is, and as dealers, we can't get it for free for you either. In fact, we have to actually charge you a little more because there's some shipping charges and so forth and so on. So the best way to get media is just do this.
Download it.
Well, download it is the best way, but if you do need that physical media, go to the site and just order it.
And one other quick note for the suite users. There are multiple parts to the suites this year. I think the ultimate suites for infrastructure have 6 parts. The building one has 7 parts, so we're talking at least 4 to 5 for the premium suites. I haven't downloaded those yet. So make sure you get all of the parts. It should say 001 of 00, however many in your suite. So make sure you get all the parts before you start the install. That's all I had, Brian.
Great, thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, that's big help.
All right, so Civil 3D 2016. So I've put up the system requirements here. As you can see, not a whole lot has changed. They're still recommending a minimum 4 gigs of RAM, recommending 8 gigs of RAM. I would say these would be good numbers for a small project type of a thing. If you're going to be working on larger projects, you'll probably want to get more RAM than 8 gigs of RAM. My computer has 32 gigs of RAM. I've never come anywhere close to using all of that.
Don't tell the IT guy.
But yeah, so the system requirements haven't changed a whole lot. But let's get into some of the new stuff in Civil 3D. So Civil 3D 2016 has kind of been broken down into a few different categories. You have the user experience, so user interface, those types of things. Data exchange, how can we exchange data back and forth. Project management, I've got something really cool with data shortcuts that I want to show you. I think this one is cool. Getting into some detailed design, and then always your production drafting, because that's really what it comes down to, is getting those plan sets approved. So the user experience. So first and foremost, there is no drawing format change. So Civil 3D 2016 can be opened up in Civil 3D 2013. So it is backwards compatible all the way back to 2013. I was shocked just like the rest of you. I was expecting them to continue the every 3-year thing. But this year, this set, we're going 4 years. So not sure exactly why, but that's what they've decided to do. Coordination models, this is kind of cool. If anybody's using Navisworks or BIM 360, we can now bring those models directly into Civil 3D. And actually, it's an AutoCAD thing, but I think it's so cool. I want to show it to you guys here. And we've also got some point cloud tool enhancements as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let me switch over here to Civil 3D. All right, here's my Civil 3D. As you can see, the start page hasn't changed a whole lot. So let me go ahead and just start a brand new blank drawing here. And as far as the user interface goes, there's not a whole lot that's changed. One thing that I've kind of found to be annoying was the insert button. I think this idea of this gallery is cool, but most of the time, if I want to insert something, I still have to come down here to the More Options and go to Browse to my drawing. If that's typically what you do, what we can do is we can actually change this now. There's a new system variable. It's called Gallery View. So I'm going to type in Gallery View. I'm going to change the system variable to 0. And now when I hit on the Insert button, it simply takes me right to the Insert command. So it's an example of some of those user interface changes. Not, like I said, not a whole lot has changed. But the coordination model, let's take a look at that. So we can reference in a coordination model, just like we can reference in a drawing or a PDF or a DGN file. It's done through XREF. So I'll open up my XREF manager here. And what you'll see is we now have a new option to attach things. So I can attach a coordination model. All right, just browse to your Navisworks file. So the file types that we can bring in are NWC or an NWD. So those are Navisworks files. I'm going to grab this one here. Very similar to an XREF. Where do you want it? Do you want to scale it, rotate it? One of the nice things here is we can zoom to the coordination model after we bring it in. Select OK. And there's my coordination model. So I'll go ahead and pull this off into a 3D view here. And so this is a Navisworks file brought into Civil 3D. And it's basically just here for reference so we can see what's happening as we're doing our own design. A couple of system variables. There's they both start with the CM, so we have the CM stands for coordination model, fade color, and fade opacity. So if I change my fade color, right now I have it set to 0, say to 40, you can see it kind of grays back a little bit. If I set it to 90, you can see it's very dark now. All right, so I'm going to change that back to 40. And then we also have the CM fade opacity. All right, right now, again, it's set to 0. If I set it to 40, you can see it kind of fades back a little bit. If I set it to 90, we can practically see right through it. So these variables are here to help you identify that, hey, these graphics are coming from the coordination model and not from my drawing directly. So there's not a whole lot else we can do with it right now. I can't really snap to it or anything yet. This is the first year we've had a coordination model, so I would expect the following years for them to, allow us to do more with them.
Or possibly Civil 3D R2?
Yeah.
So, Brian, how would you bring in a BIM 360 model, or is that also saved as an NWD?
It's also saved as an NWC.
Okay.
Now, is that when you say BIM 360, there's the field component and the glue component. I'm assuming that's the glue component?
Yeah, that would be the glue component.
Yeah.
Yep. BIM 360 glue. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, let me go ahead and close this. Let me start another brand new blank drawing here because we've got some new enhancements for point clouds. So we've been able to bring in point clouds. We got a command right here. You can go open Recap directly. If you guys aren't familiar with Recap, Recap stands for Reality Capture. But I'm going to go ahead and attach a Recap file. So I can do an RCP file or an RCS file. So I'm going to choose this RCS file, and I'll just go ahead and grab it. And I'll open it up. Likewise, it's very similar to an XREF. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK for the defaults. and there is my point cloud. So I can go in and do a 3D model on it, zoom in, and I can see, where'd it go? I lost it. There we go. Alright, so all sorts of things. You can kind of see the signs over the road and all sorts of fun things here. Now when I select it, I get that contextual ribbon tab, so I get a point cloud ribbon tab, and I can change things such as a point size. So the point size basically says, well, how many pixels is each point? Right now it's set to 2, so if I drop that down to 1, you can see I can see a little bit more detail. So when I've got a lot of points, drop your point size down. If you're zoomed in on an area that doesn't have a whole lot of points, then maybe you want to increase your point size a little bit just to kind of make those stand out a little bit better. And so now the dots are bigger for me here. I can change transparency, make it see-through. I can change the display, so it depends upon how the scan was created. You'll be able to see different colors and things like that. Let me drop this back down to 2. All right, so you can see different things, and again, a lot of it depends upon the different scans.
Dr. Seuss nightmares.
It does, doesn't it? So those are some of the point cloud enhancements that we have. Well, yeah. So if you guys have any questions as I'm going through this, feel free to type them in. Let's talk a little bit about data exchange now. So we've got some improved tools for transferring data between Civil 3D and InfraWorks. A lot of it actually comes from the subscription tools that were released midstream last year. So we're now able to open up an InfraWorks model directly in Civil 3D. We can bring in a Civil 3D model into InfraWorks. But what's new in 2016 is those bridges that we create in InfraWorks will now come into Civil 3D for me. So let me go ahead and show you that one because I think that's just awesome. All right, so I'm going to just go start a brand new drawing here. InfraWorks requires coordinate systems, but I'll assign those later. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to open an InfraWorks 360 model right here directly in Civil 3D. So I'm going to go ahead and browse to the model. So here's a model that we've used in the past. As you can see, it's giving me this nice big red X saying, hey, you have to assign a coordinate system to your drawing or this just doesn't work. So I'll go ahead and set a coordinate system. Now you do get the option to use the coordinate system, the user coordinate system from the InfraWorks model. Now I haven't set a user coordinate system in that model, so it's still set to LL84. I don't want to work on that in Civil 3D. So I'm going to go ahead and assign a coordinate system here. And I'll just see, go Colorado 83, Central Foot. That's where our office is. Now, I don't want to bring in the entire InfraWorks model. I just am interested in a specific little area. So I'm going to toggle on Area of Interest, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to select the area that I'm interested in. And what it's going to do is it's going to open up the Bing Maps, and it's going to show you that area. If you guys can see this white rectangle here, this white rectangle is the limits of my InfraWorks model. So I can see where my model is, and I can zoom in here, and I can see where my project is. So I'm interested in this area right here. So I'm just going to choose that area. And it's basically going to go in and open up the InfraWorks model and find out what information is in that area, and then it'll let me choose the objects from that area. Now this is going to take a minute. Actually, it went a lot faster than it did last time. But what I want to talk about real quick is kind of some of the new information on InfraWorks. So in 2015, we had InfraWorks, and then we had InfraWorks 360. In 2015, all we have is InfraWorks 360.
2016.
2016, thank you. All we have is InfraWorks 360. What comes with the suite, and you're not going to find this, they've changed things up a little bit. So with the suite, they have an InfraWorks 360 LT. So if you're used to the old InfraWorks, they're rebranding that to InfraWorks 360 LT. It's all the same download. It's just as you change the assets that you have access to, you'll have different tools that are available to you. So
That's why Jennifer said earlier, if you're looking for InfoWorks, look under services now instead of software.
Right, exactly. So things are changed a little bit. It's all of your old functionality is still there with the new. It's just a little bit different.
One other thing to note for InfoWorks 360, the full version, you don't need a serial number for it this year.
Yep.
It's all based on your login.
So I've selected my area of interest, and now I want to choose just what the information that I want. So I told it the area of my InfoWorks model that I'm interested in. I'm going to go ahead and refine that selection set a little bit. For example, the terrain surfaces, all I'm interested in is the existing ground. I don't want the rest of that stuff. Planning roads, no, I don't want any of those planning roads. The design roads, yeah, I want to bring my design roads in. Water areas, no, I really don't care about the water areas for what I'm doing. And then the bridges. So I'm going to go ahead and have it bring the bridges in as well. I'll go ahead and select OK, and I'll open up that model, and it'll go bring all that information from InfoWorks here into Civil 3D for me. And so there's that area that I selected. Now the map is starting to annoy me, so I'm going to go ahead and set that back to turn the map off. And there's my drawing. As you can see, this bridge here is the one that I created in InfoWorks. Now this is kind of hokey. I was just playing around. It's not a very well-designed bridge, as you can kind of see there. But if I can pull this off in my object viewer, and I can take a look at it in 3D, and there is my bridge from InfoWorks right here in Civil 3D now. And I'm going to come back to this drawing here in a little bit just so we can see some of the solids and profiles, because this is a 3D solid. So what else do we have? Import and export to AutoCAD. So they've changed things up a little bit. So to export to AutoCAD, right? Big blue A, that's your application menu. Export. And now it's export Civil 3D drawing. So it used to be export to AutoCAD. It's now export your Civil 3D drawing. Oh, gotta save the drawing. Just call it whatever. It doesn't really matter. Try this one more time. So export Civil 3D drawing. And so I've got options up here. I can go to an AutoCAD DWG or a MicroStation DGN file. So if you've got to submit something up to CDOT, you can export it out as a DGN file. Options for your XREFs. Here's something that's really cool. You can do just the current drawing, or you can do multiple drawings simultaneously. So I can choose all of the drawings in a specific source folder. Right now it's just doing the Model tab. If you want, you can have it export each individual layout tab. And then where do you want it to go? File, prefix, export settings. What version do you want to export out to? So if you notice, there's no 2016 version here. All right, or DGN. And you just export that out, and it becomes an AutoCAD drawing. I'm not going to do it. It's pretty straightforward. And you then have an AutoCAD drawing. Solids to an IFC file. Now, I personally haven't used IFC files before. I used to know what the IFC stood for, but it's a very common file type that you can use to transfer data back and forth to other applications.
It's a universal file type. It's what it's meant to be.
Right. It's kind of like the DXF of solid files.
3D
right?
solid world, yep.
All right, so I can now export out as a IFC. Thank you, an IFC file. All right, export drawings to the Industry Foundation class. There it is. I knew it was something like that.
So not International Federation of Champions?
No.
Oh, darn.
All right. So it's going to take the whole drawing, so you want to, get just the things that you want in there. For example, maybe I need to send a surface over to Revit, and they want to be able to use this surface to cut sections. Rather than them trying to recreate a topo in Revit, I can convert my surface to a solid, and then export that out as an IFC, and then the Revit folks can then import that into their model. So that is an option as well. All right, moving on. Project management, data shortcuts management tool. This is like, for me, this is the cool thing in 2016. I really like this one. So let me go ahead and open up a drawing here real quick. So in this drawing, I have a surface. I have a corridor. I have profiles. And this surface, well, I hate to say it, is out of date. The surveyors went out and they created a new drawing and they created a new surface.
How dare they?
I know, it's horrible. And I now need to use that surface for my design. The problem is I've done so much with this surface already. As you can see, I already have surface profiles. My corridor is already targeting this surface. And so to demonstrate this, what I've done is I've created a new surface that I lowered 6 inches or something like that. So say, for example, I no longer wanted to design to the finished ground. I wanted to design to a stripped surface. So I've got a new surface that was lowered 6 inches. And I now want to access that. So over here in my data shortcuts, you can see I've got under my surface, I've got the stripped surface. And this is a data shortcut to that surface that's been lowered. And so under my Manage tab, I can go into my Manage Data Shortcuts. So here I can come in, I can repair different links, things like that, but this here are all the objects that are currently in my drawing. Here are all the data shortcuts that are in my current data shortcut project folder. What I want to do is I want to replace this existing ground surface in my drawing with this data reference. So I grab it over here on the left, so the UG on the left, I grab the stripped over here on the right, and then I can replace with a link. So go ahead and click on that, and what I've done, I don't know if you can see this in my drawing or not, I've drawn little circles here just to kind of identify locations where things used to be. And I'll go ahead and replace that, click on that button. Voila, you can see my surface is now lowered and my corridor is now targeting that new surface. I think this is going to be great. This is something that we've been needing for quite a while now, and I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody's going to be doing with this tool.
Now, Brian, with this data shortcut management, does that help with, like, say somebody went in and deleted your data shortcuts folder in the middle of your project, and you open up your Civil 3D file not realizing this, and every link says it's now broken? Does that help with repairing broken links and things like that too?
It can. So there's an option up here to show only the broken data shortcuts. And when you select on a data shortcut, it gives you all that information in here. And so if you've created new data shortcuts after the fact, you can go ahead and replace it with a new data shortcut.
Okay. Excellent. Nothing worse than broken links.
Oh, I know. All right. Another one that I'm not going to show here, but is new, we can now create folders for our Civil 3D objects in Vault. Say, for example, I have Phase 1 and Phase 2. I can take my Phase 1 alignments and put them in the Phase 1 folder, my Phase 2 alignments, put them in the Phase 2 folder. So it gives us a little bit more versatility within Vault.
If you're using Vault.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about some of the detailed design that we have here. So surfaces from point cloud data. So this one's not really new, but let me show it to you. Do I still have that one open? I don't. So let me go ahead and start a new drawing. I'm going to go ahead and bring in that recap file again. So I'll attach that point cloud. And I'm not going to do it here just because it takes a while for the processing to go through. But I want to create a surface from my recap file here. So when I select the point cloud, I get an option to create a surface from the point cloud. So it's going to ask for the surface name, the style, render material, basic surface stuff. The area that we're interested in, so do you want to create a surface for the entire area or just a piece of it? Right, so I can come in here and I can choose the entire point cloud. I can grab just a small piece of it. Perhaps I'm interested in that area there. I probably should have been plan view to do that. All right, so I'm interested, let's say I'm interested in this intersection up here. So let me do that again. So I'm interested in this area here. I'll go ahead and remove that entire point cloud. And then you can put a distance between points, and you can change some of the density and things here. So as you can see, total number of points selected is 3,179,697, give or take a couple, right? And then we got some options for how does it figure out which points are ground points and which ones aren't ground points. So we've got the planar average, right? The Kriging interpolation, which will kind of try to figure out which ones are and which ones aren't. Or we can just take every single point and put them in the surface, which in our case doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'd probably do the Kriging interpolation, click on Create Surface, and then in the background it will process the surface and it'll create the surface for me.
So who's Kriging?
Kriging, he is an ancient Mesopotamian that develops...
You're so full of it.
Right.
Was he a friend of Pythagoras or something?
No, Pythagoras was Greek. All right. At least I think he was. So anyway, so that's some of the new things that we can do with point clouds as well. Subassembly loops. So let me launch Subassembly Composer here real quick. Let's see a drawing. All right, and let me go ahead and open up a drawing here as well. All right. So Subassembly Composer. So one of the new options under our advanced geometry is this loop geometry. So let me go ahead and pull this in. And in here, what we can do is we can set things like how often do we want this process to loop. All right, so how many times do we want this to loop? So we can go through and say, okay, I want to put benches on a road. Now I want to go maximum of 5 benches. So I can come in here and I can put in the loop repetition and set that to 5 or something along those lines. So if we end up with more than that, then it'll return a little error message for us. I'm not going to go through and create a subassembly here, but I do have a drawing that has a subassembly that has something similar to that. So let me just go here into my section editor. And so as you can see, we've got this looping process going on. So it does one, then it does the next, then it does the next, and it does the next until it gets to a certain criteria, and then it just continues on with the subassembly. As I progress through the subassembly, if it can't complete within a certain number of loops, it just stops. And the reason that it does this is so it doesn't loop on into infinity and then it fails and Civil 3D crashes, and we don't like that sort of thing. Right? So this is an example of the looping, so it should be interesting to see what people can do with this one. I'm kind of excited about it. Solids from Civil 3D objects, surfaces, pipe networks, pressure networks. All right, so let me open up this other drawing here.
I don't know if I want solids from my pipe networks. It doesn't sound very good.
All right, so I've got this beautiful surface here, and I want to create a solid from it. See if I can remember where it is. Can't remember where it is on the ribbon. Is it on Analyze? No. I know I did this a while back, and now I can't remember where it is. This is embarrassing.
Search for it.
Yeah, there's so much solid in there.
Create figure from object.
Now, where's that? Where's the command? This is embarrassing.
Extract from surface.
Maybe, Brian, let's go to the next one, and then we'll give your mind a chance to catch up.
All right. So.
All right. So let's see. Yeah, I'll come back to that one here in just a bit.
So solid. So basically, you would do that to be able to export them to something like Inventor or something like that.
Or
right?
for 3D printing.
Perfect. Excellent.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Right? As I mentioned before, I could take it out to an IFC file so I can bring it into Revit. All right. Yeah, so I'll come back to that one. Exclusionary catchments. Oops, don't click on this slide, Brian. So exclusionary catchments. This one, if you're doing drainage work, I think this one's cool. So let me switch back over here to Civil 3D. And so I have this beautiful surface here. And I'm going to go ahead and start off. I'm going to go ahead and throw a water drop in here, just so I can see where this is going. So I'll do a water drop real quick, say, okay, from up here. And so I can see this, the water is going down here. So I want to start off by putting in a catchment. So I'm just going to snap to the end of there. So I'm going to go to the Analyze tab, Catchment, and I'm going to create a catchment from the surface. All right. I want to, there it is. All right, just snap to the end there. Give the catchment a name, a catchment group, what surface do you want to create the catchment from, etc. Nothing too new here. And it goes through and creates the catchment for me. All right, so you can see my big, large catchment here. Now, what I want to do, let's say, for example, I need to put in an area inlet halfway through. Or maybe I'm going to put in a partial flume, or a weir, or a drop, or something, and I want to know what the flow is at that location. So I want to actually create another catchment here. So I'm going to go create another catchment. Create catchment from surface. And I'll snap to the location where I want to create my catchment. I'm putting it in the same catchment group so they interact with each other. And it creates my new catchment for me. And so this is the area that's contributory to this location. But what about that other catchment? As you can see, this new catchment actually cut itself out of the other catchment. So I don't have overlapping catchments now. As a drainage guy, I think this one's pretty cool.
Do you have a question there, Brian?
No. All right. Corridor targets. So they've made a few changes to corridor targets. I'm not actually going to show this one, but I will talk about it. All right, so I've got a corridor here, and just so we can see it real quick, I'm going to go in and I'm going to go edit the targets for this corridor. And I want to change my width. So I want my right side to target a series of alignments. So now when I'm coming in and I'm choosing alignments as my targets, I can choose the alignments by layer. So I'm going to grab all of the alignments that are on a specific layer, so I can choose it by layer. All right, so I've got two alignments that are on this layer. It's not going to really work in this drawing, but I just want you guys to see that it definitely can be done now. All right, and let's take a look at some of the production drafting tools. So we can now label crossing pipes. Hallelujah. This one has been a long time coming. I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to be able to just label a pipe where it crosses my alignment. All right, so here I've got a drawing. I've got some pipe networks in here. As you can see, I've got this alignment that's running down through here. And in here, there is a storm sewer that's crossing it. I have that storm sewer displayed here. So this is the crossing pipe here. I want to see the label, invert elevation, the crown elevation, the whatever elevation. So I'm going to go label it. So I'll go annotate, add labels. All right, this is simply going to be a pipe network label. I'm going to do a single part in profile in this case. My pipe label style, well, I don't want to label the length of the pipe. I don't want to put in a typical pipe label style. So I'm going to have this set to none. All right, so you'll need to create a none label style that doesn't put anything in there. Structure label style, I'm not labeling a structure, so it doesn't really matter. And then the crossing pipe label, this is the part that's new. So I'm going to use this new style here, and I'll show you some of the things we can do with this. Choose Add. I'll grab the pipe that I want to label, and it places the label in there for me. So as you can see, this one is actually showing me a station, the top of the pipe, elevation, and the bottom. And I'll just pull this off into a 3D view, or I'm sorry, into the drag state. And you know, if the pipe elevation changes, I don't want this label to move, so I'm going to go ahead and pin the label. I don't know if you guys know you can do this or not, but you can toggle label pins. And so now if the thing they're labeling moves, the label itself doesn't move. So if I come in here and I make a change to the pipe, you can see the label stays where it is. That's not new, but I just know a lot of people don't know about it. But you'll see the elevations change. 1224.3. 1223.45. So let's take a quick look at this label style. So I'll edit the label style here. And as far as the new content that we can add in, this is what we've got. All right, so the crossing pipe station. So what's the station of the pipe where it crosses the alignment? And then all the different elevations. So we got the outside top, the outside bottom, the inside top, the inside bottom, crown, invert, and then the center elevation as well. So you can put all of those into a label as you need. And then last, we've got some new things that we can do with our section views. So let me go ahead and open up my section view here. So my section view, all right, left to right. All right, as we're going down, well, I don't want this one to go left to right, or right to left, or I want it to go the other direction. So just like with profile views, in my section view, let me go edit the style here. We now have the option to go right to left versus left to right. So right now set right to left. I don't want to go right to left. I want to go left to right. And so it basically mirrors my cross-section for me.
Surface contextual tab, surface tools panel, extract from surface.
Okay. So there it is. So those are the new things we can have. Now let me go back to the surface from solids. So when I grab my surface, extract from surface, I can extract solids from the surface. That's where it is. Thank you, Jennifer, for finding that for me. I appreciate it. So I can go ahead and extract solids from surface. I knew it had to be somewhere simple. I just was missing it. I was under a time crunch, and everybody was looking at me, and it's just not comfortable. So
looks like the one for pipe networks is actually at the command line. Convert to 3D solids is the command.
Okay.
So, FYI.
All right. So yeah, let me go back to my this one here because I had some things I wanted to show you. All right, so let me go ahead and create this. So I grab my surface, extract from surface. I want to extract solids from my surface. Now I got some options here. I can do a depth. So I want to have a constant thickness to my surface. So I always want the surface to be 6 inches thick, 12 feet thick, whatever the case may be. Maybe I want to go down to a specific elevation. So I want the bottom of this to sit flat so I can set it down on a table after I print it out. Or I can do it relative to another surface. It'll go down until another surface. So I'm going to do it at a fixed elevation. I don't remember what elevation I want this to go at. So let me go to my surface properties here. Under the statistics, and let's see, it's under general. My minimum elevation is 29 meters. So that's a metric drawing, right?
Because you like metric, we know.
Right, I'll do my solids, so that goes down to a 29. So I'm going to do a fixed elevation of, say, 25. So I want to have a good thickness to it. I'm going to insert it into the current drawing. I could add it, put it in a new drawing. What layer do you want it to go on? Colors, all that fun stuff. I'll go ahead and create my solid. Create my solid. It's thinking. There's a lot of math going on here. It's not better than doing it by hand.
That's true.
While we're on the topic of creating a solid, is it done yet?
And here's my solid.
Ooh.
Now there actually is a lot of math going on in that. It's really, really kind of amazing that it can even do this.
Yeah.
So this is something that could be opened up in AutoCAD, like vanilla AutoCAD,
Yep.
or you know, other program softwares such as that.
Yeah, exactly. This is an AutoCAD solid now. I can do anything with it that I can with any other solids, and in fact, I can even take it out as an IFC file like I mentioned before. So that's a surface. Let me go ahead and I'm just going to get rid of this because it's starting to annoy me. I can do the same thing with pipes. So let's see, where's that pipe that I would do that to? This one here. So I've got this pipe here, and this structure, and let me go ahead and just display this structure in my in my profile. So I'll choose Draw Parts in Profile. I'll grab my profile view, and there's my structure, and it looks like a typical structure, and we can't see it. Let me change my background color. I know you guys are all fearing this. Yes, he's going to choose white. And now you can see that structure in there. And let me get rid of those horizontal geometry points in here. Actually, let me just turn off the whole grid. Really don't need grids for what I'm doing. It's just going to get in the way. Grid horizontal. There we go. So there's my structure. Now, this structure is actually just barely touching, just a piece of it is touching the alignment. It's not actual, you're not going to see the riser and the cone and all of that if I were actually to cut the alignment through this. So if I wanted to see the actual cross-section of this pipe in my profile view, what I can do is I can then extract this. Let's see if it's up here on this ribbon anywhere. Probably isn't. It should be up here. All right, what'd you say the command was, Jennifer?
Convert to 3D solids. Convert to 3D solids.
Convert to 3D solids. All right, I'm going to go ahead and grab just that one. Erase the selected object. No. And there's no solid there. Hang on, I might need to be in a selected objects. Let's pull that off of the 3D view, and now let's do it. Yep, so there it is. So there's the 3D solid now. And as you can see, just a piece of it is touching my centerline alignment. Okay, so just that piece of it. I'm not gonna. If I were to cut a cross section through it, that cone ain't gonna come through. Good grammar, Brian. Isn't gonna be shown in there. So let me go ahead and project that into my profile view here. So I'll grab my profile view. Let me go ahead and pull that out. Grab the profile view. Go to project objects to profile view. I'm gonna go ahead and grab that solid that I just created here. All right, I've got a style. I'll go ahead and talk about those here in just a little bit. And there's my object being displayed. And as you can see, it's actually showing me, well, the cone, just like I said it wouldn't. Why is it doing that? Well, it's because it's actually showing me the solid. Right now, it's not doing a section of it. It's showing the whole solid. Well, I don't want to see the whole solid. I just want to see a section. So that's where the style comes into play. So I'm going to go, I'll go grab it. I'll go change the style that it's using. And on the Profile tab, I can tell it, hey, I want you to section it. So I'll go ahead and toggle on the section. And now I see just that piece of the riser cone there. If my alignment were to cross this several times, it would show it to me several times. I've had, in previous versions, I had a client that had a vault, and we were able to extract a solid, create a solid for this vault. And when the alignment crossed through it, because there was actually a PI in the middle of the vault, it didn't work right in the profile view. There were some things that were weird, and it didn't do it correctly. I tried that same thing again in 2016, and it worked absolutely perfectly. So projecting the solids in profiles, I have not seen any issues with them in 2016, and they work really well. So to summarize, these are all the things that we went over. I'm not going to read them to you.
Quick, take a screen capture. Everybody.
But here are the new features that are in Civil 3D. And that pretty much summarizes what I wanted to show you. Do you have anything you'd like to follow up with, Stan?
No, I just want to thank you for you hurriedly put this together in the past just couple days. The webinar anyway. I know you've been working on Civil 3D for quite a while, but thank you for taking the time to do that. And Jennifer, thank you for your time and helping to be the research librarian here.
Now, Stan, did you want to talk about changes that are happening with Autodesk as far as...
I do. There's a lot of changes happening with Autodesk, and I want to make our clients aware of them. So this year will be the last year that Autodesk will sell the box version of individual products. That would be Civil 3D for one of them, AutoCAD, the plain vanilla outside the suites products. Sometime in the following year, they will quit selling the box version of the suites, and everything will move to a what they call desktop subscription, or basically rental model. These are big changes coming here over the next couple years. Now, if you stay on your maintenance subscription, your current subscription for your current product, you really don't have anything to worry about. You can stay on your individual box product. You don't have anything to worry about. Your costs, I don't know what your costs will do. Autodesk will make up that world, but at the same time, there's no indication that those costs will change to any degree in the next foreseeable future, so whatever that means in this world. So stay on subscription. If you're needing additional seats and you prefer the box methodology, do it this year.
The perpetual license.
The perpetual license, yes. I see a lot of advantage to many companies with the rental model as well. It helps you control cost. It helps you to rent the software for the duration of a project, or maybe you have some interns in for the summer and you just want to rent a couple seats for them. So there's a lot of good reasons for using that. Plus, it gives you a lot of cost flexibility. It takes major purchases from a capital expense to an operating expense, lots of things like that. Now, this is where I have the high-level view. The next thing I'm going to say, and Brian or Jennifer, you may have a little bit more close view of this, but with the 2016, with the delivery method of the downloads and so forth, with the direction that all this software is going, you won't see the major yearly releases anymore. Now, I don't know if that means they're not going to do them at all, but they're certainly not going to be these major releases. What you're going to see going forward is the plan is to have a quarterly feature release. Smaller releases, again, another good reason to stay on subscription. Smaller releases with more impactful, hopefully more useful feature releases coming out. So the nice thing about this model, over time, it'll take a while, but over time, say 2 to 3, maybe 4 years, everybody will eventually be on the same version of the software. In other words, you won't have too many people still sitting on 2013 or 14 or something like that. You know, there may be some projects, long-term projects, that have to go that way, but for the most part, everybody will have migrated to the current version. So you will be able to eliminate a lot of the saving backwards issues and a lot of things like that that, you know, cause a little heartburn from time to time. So I see a lot of good things there. I see a lot of good cloud strategy coming up with Autodesk. But the key thing, folks, is stay on your subscription. It's a key way to control your costs going forward. So with that, anything else from either of you? Any other comments to that, the nature of that stuff?
No, I think we've already seen that to some extent with the InfoWorks.
Yep.
And Revit.
Yeah,
And Revit. Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Stan. Thank
All
you,
right.
Ryan.
Let's see. It doesn't look like we have any questions, so appreciate your time today. We will be posting this webinar, recording it and posting it in the next few days, so watch for that on our YouTube channel. And with that, we'll close for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Thank you.